Well, some business groups across the state, as J.C. Reindl of the Detroit Free Press writes, some business groups are urging Governor Gretchen Whitmer's administration to not extend pandemic-related restrictions on in-person office work. These restrictions set to expire next month, and they're claiming that an extension could be devastating to Michigan's economy. No one would know that better than the vice president of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, with a view and an opinion here. Wendy Block, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show at WJR.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
It is our pleasure. It's in anticipation of the April 14th expiration of the Michigan Occupational Safety and Administration emergency rules that prohibit the reopening of business office spaces, that there is the Reopen Michigan Safely Coalition that is out there. Where does our Michigan Chamber of Commerce stand on this? I think I know the answer, but I've got to ask the question.
Yeah, so the Michigan Chamber, along with 25 other groups and growing, are firmly behind this and support the ReopenMichiganSafely.com coalition. We just believe with the downward trend in COVID rates that businesses should be allowed to reopen safely across all industries, and that includes our office settings.
So what do you think, which way do you think the governor is leaning on this? Members of the coalition saying they're obviously strongly encouraging the governor to work with and trust job creators and employees to reopen safely, since they say Michigan has one of the most crippling set of restrictions in all of the United States on in-person work.
Yeah, that's right. In the majority of other states, and in fact the vast majority of other states, employers and employees and unions, if there is a unionized workplace, are allowed to work together to determine what is the best path forward. Whether there should be in-person work, whether there should be, some people working from home, some people working in the office. Michigan's rule just doesn't give any flexibility on that. It basically says that you must stay home if you can. And we spoke out, knowing that the governor's office was leaning towards extending this rule for up to another 6 months. So that is quite a long time. And our goal with this coalition is for the governor to hear the difficulties our members are going through before they unilaterally decide to extend this. So this is one of those issues where it's firmly in the hands of the governor. And they have said since the coalition was launched that they are leaning towards an extension. And so we feel that, this was the right time to start speaking up more loudly, and that we must continue forward, that our members need to, and employees, in fact, in the state who want to go back to the office need to make their voice heard with the governor and her team.
Well, I think that's wise of you to get out in front of that quickly and get opinion. And I would suspect that, generally speaking, the opinion is on your side that people need to get back. Lengthy extensions of these sorts of things are going to hurt businesses in a very big way. No one's been hurt as badly. Well, you're going to tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. It seems that no one's been hurt as badly as the restaurant industry. I could say right behind them would be theaters, movie theaters, but there aren't as many movie theaters that have been affected as there are restaurants. Is there someone I'm missing, or are those the most affected so far in terms of businesses we've talked about and heard about? Not talking about people going into their office job.
Right. And we would totally agree with that. We represent restaurants, we represent movie theaters and other entertainment facilities who've been completely shuttered across a lot of 2020 and even into 2021. But now that they're being allowed to reopen and to be allowed to reopen at greater capacity levels and to figure out ways to do that safely, I think that's the key word here, is that everyone wants to reopen safely. They've, created the preparedness and response plans. They've bought the PPE. They know how they're going to enhance their cleaning. They know what they're going to do in terms of social distancing and masking. And so now it's time to allow employers to put that good work to use and to figure out ways to reopen safely. So, for us, we agree. The restaurant and the entertainment facilities and others have been hurt extremely badly. They're on a path to reopening. We're hoping that, we can get them in an even better position moving forward. But this is time also to start talking about this office ban, especially with the April 14th expiration, and just out of concern that the governor is seemingly leaning towards extending this for another 6 months. And the concern here is people aren't going to our downtowns during the day, so it's crushing our city centers. And, there's a sense of loneliness and isolation, and collaboration by Zoom just really isn't cutting it in a lot of cases. And so it's hurting kind of employees and employers alike.
I understand the push for job creation, economic growth, opening our economy safely. I understand let's face it, our downtown business districts depend on people going back to their office and going around the corner and having lunch and taking their dry cleaning in. And I mean, the list is ridiculously long, as they depend on the patronage of thousands of office workers who work in the various city centers every day. And then there are those who are saying, well, yeah, I understand that. I mean, there are a lot of teachers that aren't going to show up today for work, even though some students are, lots of students. There are still people saying, shouldn't we wait until employees are vaccinated?
Well, they're now talking about every adult being able to have a vaccine in their arm by May if they want one. So if that, in fact, is going to happen, now is the time to set the plan, 2 months, 3 months out from that date to figure out how we are going to reopen rather than just kind of tunnel vision, we're going to stay closed for another 6 months. We believe it's time to kind of set in motion some of these plans, to set the criteria and to allow people to plan, to set those guidelines and then say to businesses, if you can operate within these guidelines, it's okay for you to start bringing employees back. But right now, under the current rules, you can't even do that. You just have to say to your employees, we don't know. We're not sure. We're having to do that as an employer ourselves. And, this idea of uncertainty is what's killing people at this point. Not literally, and that was probably a poor choice of words, but that's really what is hurting people, is just this idea of we don't know. How do you plan for the future?
Well, best to plan for the future and to get ahead of it, which is what you're doing. Vice President of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Wendy Block. Thank you, Wendy, for being with us.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.